won't try next time. Won't try. And no, I'm lucky. You're lucky. No, they got away with it. Next time, won't try. No share.
I'm try. I'm obey then.
They said they'll distract. Let them do distraction and see they listen.
Diana obey rap parliament or aquayom.
Then on parliament. This almost. So must see let's distract. Try.
And I'm saying to try. I'm obey then.
And no, maybe this someone say very distracted. Then on boy.
Distraction. There's so much I see and ra. Emma second and Ramos Emma second deputy APA on TV because one to me and 20 man or so.
Next time, try. I didn't know more destructive tendencies no more koyen. Now number no cry and do 90. Who need numbers? Look, your proper number is your friend say almost 88. Omo I didn't 88. Omi 84. Na 84. Omo we 56. Na so ka yen nyina ye give you be you omo free parliament using the legal process. Also your file process in na court. And they are evading service. We will get them through another means of serving them. And we'll make sure that we'll litigate the matter to the later and make sure that these illegal MPs are taken out of parliament. And they want to quickly collaborate with their EC, then to add Abena to that illegal things they have been doing. Next time, they think they are the only people who are educated, or they think they are the only people who are wise. They will see.
Mate, but Asema will be a bisa and necessary. NDC in Abena North is sitting no say Muna Mawinia. Adena Moma Quine Coalition and Nano EC Equaya. Party for Cossessa EC office any adiano. Adena Moma Quine no more qualify for a run. Abena North. If you know, say Muna Mawini sa sitting no.
Yeah, and then I can say, Yelly, get a court. My court nine can say, if the court rules say, young court we should go and vote again. If the court says, young court then criticize or say 62 polling stations, no. But they say 62 polling stations, I ask them no. And this electoral commission, we see on the pink sheet. Now, it's only MPP who have gone to bring fake pin sheets. Fake ones who say presiding officers in normal, line or say, share pink sheets. They all came, most of them came in and denied the pink sheets that they presented to them. Where did they get it from? MPP. They are masters of fake pink sheets. No more office, no more manufacture pink sheets, concoct figures on it, forcing it on the people of Abena to declare their person winner. Sano moko ye no. Almost a presiding officer in now or Mumba no where they are media, to the extent the 10 officers also want to be Yejumati. Because they were forcing him to declare an illegal person. No one wants to be way. Why are we doing this to ourselves as a country?
Okay. Mate, Alaji, na mamin fa yen free Abena North kakra. Yahunu all over Martin Mahunu some write-ups be near dia e maboni bi eso mo ebonyo so some appointment bi a omampani mahama e making de di mu akotene pa eye NCA ya mo eche so rafianko omo empene so sanse ebra wo close radio stations wa close radio good o ka ho bi wo the lead delegation e de koye into no as the agitation no e wo so some even planning say Nyambo Monday they will react. Adiana Beka party for no. I was dear Coco so mampani be the appointment be ba almost yempe. Now was such as no. Said it to be on mampani di ejuma.
Oh, call on our people to be patient. The party supporters to be patient. The grassroots to be patient. I trust in the judgment of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I will say. On the Mampeni, where he sits, what he sees, we on the ground, we don't see it. What do you say? where he sits. He's a big man. He has a lot of intelligence. So intelligence in the one sign. Yet the we don't know this. So let's allow him. He's the leader of our party as well as the president of the country. Me and the NDC as leadership, we trust in his judgment. And he means business to reset the country. So I'm pleading on our party people, the supporters, and then make sure that we will get the benefit of the people he's appointing. I can assure you, he knows what he's doing, and leadership knows what he's doing. So we are pleading on them. His Excellency John Dramani Man, he means business, and obey you, man, my Baba.
Na Tanko, what the enam kwaso ana say yente hwe ana
me refer come area over me communication officer.
Because ye twa NC de kra your mokun bebe na se ana se adwuma we de enkatanko be ne simple na fe de e de ntina amono na
ni me kwan o.
O say
NC na ni me kwan kra.
Asin say enu Canberra fundamental.
It was not part of my areas of
okay. Sound
at all.
Now where is near hene? Like so areas no ye hefa say NC nka ho a.
Oh, my area is to make sure I get back this my 4 seats.
Oh, tanko but ye na ye twen we are hopeful say ebe ye o of him one. Ntia so abai next week dey na yate. But it's okay, I'm not saying no bro you Fenya Otene Ken or your deputy director of elections and IT NDC and menino adi en komono Dr. Tanko computer receipt at this point there say because so better dini ba ni nyina no eye o say ebe ye let's hope say ebe ye sa say the work no na ya be koye nim na afie ya hye nti ote ye Tanko say appointment bi amampani be ye no ono nim de oye he means business na nia bre pa so be som Ghana nti ya party for no enya botre e wo sa yempene yempa somasi yempa benten ene ho sensem no o se bibia ni a eye abotre eno no na me ba na fe ya hye other issues bia ekokokoko so
Safa sa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa isizo saba Kavula mo Anichaleni ko Kelise Wemaye wemodo Safa sa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa isizo saba Kavula mo Anichaleni ko Kelise Maya kana pasa pasa pelisizo sinyama iwasafa isizo sabantu alamula anijaleni ko kelize maya wemodo
Yento aso Kukurantumi Jumadie Asempa 94.7 Ediamejeso ene Abena Opokua Ahwenee kwakuchum ena ebo michidom anopai na mekosoa akai wo se yenuaba ABY ne papa edafom nti ene ena ayeno ekoso ewusunyane ti wadaroma yana warrechi out na waseni nkran na waka yakonsem na afiare chichensem so waka biache ABY enye izisa ne papa edafom timu ni nyina Dominic Sieboa Philippo Sebonsu oman hene kwabna asante esi wo hene bafo reduamo chese oji poncho chese timu ni nyina dodo no a ani chemu a womokọ akoka ABY ho na ejade wo ho no womo atanachi no mo de ahyehye so ho nti ABY babia wo bia ye ma hyeden ene yakokese na yebeto aso mfa cha say yenya challenge with social media no enti yeguso resolve. We were live on YouTube but yenya challenge kakra yedi ehudwuma na enche bia so yebeba won chen na wanso wadwenkyere de ekoso enne anopayin komo yedie na wode so atum na fi yakoyenim yebehwe se na mebo wamane yeho central no ye reporters ewo ehonoma enra empenyefo kosiaye ene enkomo ekoso ni nyina no wo mo betumi ede abrayen na yaboboboso ene de ekosiye se abotoye maba omagietum ese de esiye no ankoyie ne sa suncho mbetwe mo de afrim anase wo mo de appointment no ha ene wo mo etwen ese ho central wo mo betese ye bodin say wo member of parliament say ye hwan say wanya appointment a mampani agene wo mo ho ntoma koma atom yam ye behwe ho so na ye de ato so. Executive Director Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy Benjamin Nsia ye no eni nkomo oransia machi
yamini aba
yeda se eni ebra wanya amayen yenim se privatization of ECG enye ne ena sankomo ehase abandada no etu ho anamo ena enamwa abedru ene then in opposition they had a lot to say about ECG privatization no aya nwanwa and I say were you surprised say what is say Ira John Jinapo kaso omo be privatize what committee krompa be share e ho somebody report about were you surprised?
No, I was not surprised because okay the recent financial performance of ECG, okay the recent equity and other capital position of ECG, okay recent operational performance of ECG, and lastly no okay the financial constraint of government in terms of so being injected some liquidity into ECG to revive it now one of the options any privatization and me body so bako medical financial performance of ECG.
Yeah,
I think in the last 5 years, apart from 2019 to 2023, apart from 2020, which is an outlier, ECG recorded about 400 million Ghana cedis profit. From 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, ECG made net losses. Now, I wrote some grants say, who take 2022, the state ownership report, a report to say ECG eboka about 8 billion Ghana cedis. In that same year, the Auditor General's report, and so can say ECG eboka 10 billion Ghana cedis. So there's even inconsistency with respect to car ECG boy in 2022. Over 2023, ECG boka almost 6 billion Ghana cedis.
okay.
Nti okani mi no boma eno kwankra 2022-2023 no ECG boka 14 billion Ghana cedis. So in terms of financial performance, ECG in the last 5 years is not doing well. Yemra operational performance. Operational performance, mostly may use the system losses of ECG. From 2019 to 2023, all the operational performance of ECG, with respect to system losses, have been more than the benchmark set by the PURC. In 2022, for example, PURC benchmark, I think it's around 22%. From the back 21 and about 22. So let's even peg it as 22%, which is a higher one.
Okay.
In that year, ECG the system losses are about 30%. In 2023, yes, SOT by somewhere 26.9, but still ECG system losses is higher than the benchmark PURC, and as a Public Utility Regulatory Commission, all the ECG to total. Some countries in Africa, and also some distribution companies in Africa, like those in South Africa, Iriko, like those in Kenya, all these companies, distribution losses, are even lesser than the PURC benchmark, the PURC Okroma. Some are doing 17%, some are doing 23%, but here, system losses, and 30%. In last year, 2023, I'm 26.9. But I've heard from other reports that another commentator said, system losses hover around 37%. So, operationally, ECG is not doing well. Now, last one, with capital injection, and I say the total equity over time, which is measured by the liabilities against the assets. In 2019, ECG total equities was around 8 billion Ghana cedis. And there's improvement in investment. There was an ECG liability, the total equities, increasing, a consistent surge or a stable capital. But from 2019 to 2023, ECG, the total equities from 8 billion Ghana cedis to 5 billion Ghana cedis. What it simply means is that ECG in the liabilities, the rate at which in liabilities they increase, higher compared to the rate at which the total assets are increasing. The managing company, and says that rate what it means is that in the long run, the liabilities will outweigh the assets, and ECG will begin to record negative equities. Now, what can we do? The only option able to me, NSA and government, inject some liquidity, and government has been supporting ECG somewhat in some form of fund. Yeah, Biotima ECG cross 6 billion Ghana cedis. Yeah, Biotima ECG 12 billion Ghana cedis. But in recent times, Abena so much. Government has a lot of liquidity constraints because the projections in the budget with respect to what we call energy sector shortfalls, are buying into injecting into ECG or even the whole energy sector. So if government is facing issues of constraints with respect to liquidity, or not even contribute to turn around this particular company, the only option for some of us is to privatize, because politicians are managing, but political interference is one of the major reasons why ECG is not becoming viable. ECG cannot be viable because the corporate governance structure is not the best of form, because ECG the labor productivity is not the best of form, because efficiently it is not managed well, effectively it is not managed well. And some with respect to some ECG staff. But if you take a distribution company like ECG compared to other distribution companies in Latin America, where one employee serves almost 10,000 customers, whilst ECG and Netco, one employee is serving 500 customers, yet they are not being effective, because say meter problem, now one new meter, problem, like a lot of ineffectiveness on their part. Aside that, in Sokrano, there are also other issues of corporate governance structure with respect to procurement flaws.
Okay.
And these are all because of political interference. Because are buying an appointed board, are buying an appointed ECG MD, are buying sometimes an appointed security person called ECG. Because some of these politicians, that's what they do. They tell MD, they appointed and these are the reasons. So if the options are privatization is one of the options, but we have to look at privatization that serves the interest of the Ghanaian, that serves the interest of the government, and also that serves the interest of the company. On a discussion, they will say,
okay. You say Abena attempted pain, share other lessons learned from the previous PDS and some by baby a co and dear, what you say the attacks, so the sabotage ama PDS Jumano, and to me, Anya successful. How ne papa mo saying enna ennei ye betumi ayena yen sign enye enkobesi.
Okay, I think that the PDS deal was shrouded in a lot of secrecy. It was very transparent. Consultation wise was poorly done. But the other can say in most concessions, was a Uma Lipano. And as a Duduano, a follow. So you must be ready to give out relevant real-time information. Because then the Ghana process here will say, "Meno bayadrin and I meno nyadrin." That is one. So information flow must be very, very timely, and then very transparent. And honest information is what the Ghanaian needs to process. Yet the economy was say my information flow with respect to any level you do in the privatization. Ghanaians must know it, because privatizing ECG or privatizing any state-owned entity is a new policy of government. And when you are implementing a new policy, it has its own social impact. So people must be aware of the changes you are bringing on board before they buy into it. That is one. Now, two, your partners now, your person will be take over. But I believe this one, we are likely going to have a concession, because we cannot have outright asset sales. We cannot have maybe partnership, because the government may have those liquidity constraints. So like I say, our partner someone, and as our partner an entity and take over ECG. And they are bare concessions never call.
Okay.
And was say partners are or more for more that concession no. Because of say ye fighting the issue of say foreign businesses will be take over no. We must make sure that local content ebe kese. We have PDS deal now. Miracle was 51 and the local content was 49. Even the local content there was an Angolan company. No local phone. So yes, we say kumwa was say ye dealer. Your local content no ebe kese, because at the end of the day that profitability or dividends must be retained in Ghana here to ensure that a bit to me aye numa and as I stabilize your currency somewhat. Now a monsoon no and was say ye say obi bia ye company in the bemana no has the capacity in terms of experience, expertise, and also has the ability in terms of the finances to inject certain liquidity into this particular company to improve on these assets to ensure efficiency and effectiveness.
Okay.
Because yanya ebisa, I don't know PDS and the NTR. Yeah, abrogated that contract was that now you pay one of the predetermined conditions. ASA yebenya bank guarantee from some of the partners. Now, bank guarantee yanya yakonya insurance guarantee. Enku yeche krana sana insurance guarantee na yesi free kata no krano. Na sebiu insurance company no any some muscles no to be able to curb any eventuality and uncertainty if the deal doesn't go well, and I say problem bad deal no.
Okay.
And they cancels our deal. She say yeah for being so I'm now abeji this particular company which is huge in terms of assets. The assets about 52 billion Ghana cedis. Say first our company was say making sure say nipa na oba no and I say adwumakuo na oba no or no that particular financial muscle to be able to turn around because of Sebia. you pese privatize.
Okay.
And sir, Jumakono, and with the experience, why bida, ama yehu. Let's look at these two critical things, and I think that we continue to discuss. Now, lastly, one critical thing. Your center observing is
Asempa FM.
Say you privatize mostly some of these private companies don't inject the necessary liquidity into these companies. Be use access just like send your PDSA, or be use access, not their mobilizers cano, not their co. Now, aside that, Abribian or pray a tariff in 2 months. Until Abribian pray tariff in 2 months because they continue to mislead us that they have to recover costs. As a private entity, it's profit maximization. You have to make profit. So, obey not being say Abribian obey increase tariff. That is where you must also get a good regulator. There must be serious regulatory enforcement to check this particular private company. Say Abribian on pray tariff in 2 months. Because Abribian tariff in 2 months, I was say yes, or the BB na album, and now BB for na all year that demands that tariff increment.
Okay.
So we need also regulation. It's very, very key. Say, and good regulation, meaning a private person about to take advantage of us, and then we are likely going to have a problem. I am perceived.
But Oransi said the assassin now say ebano illegal connection revenue shortfall near dear I challenge of ECG no. The Abema will be a illegal connection because electricity war a day. On to mean to ya in general, and ye obey an illegal no way you soon free. It is a privatization eba. Dear Ghanaian no shani say, Obenya a yetipa nebo form na comatonium. It is all privatizing now one would you see kana and yetipa. Ghana need you feel say obey satisfied say the privatization no efaswabaso.
Okay, and this is an make the social impact of it. And I think that some of these surveys need also to be conducted before we go into it to also get some of these concerns Ghanaian areas so that I factor in some of these policy recommendations. But first of all, say you can but comparatively, so I think recently end user tariff averagely is around 12 cents per kilowatt hour, right? Compared to earlier time, then I'm around 15 and 16. So but and also interested also be most of the time no more movie Kanya or many ECG workers Canana. I have an area around Abokobi. Almost almost supposed to be. Some of them claim 6 months granny Omuntia Kanyada. Almost you are not ECG workers Nibiaba. No, what they can say, Muntia. The actual canal dinner, and then Menquapam. What is one? It is happening there. So, can you be a real Chrome Hanono? Is in conduit with some of the staff of ECG. One more that is one.
Okay.
Now, two, the reason why a Kanyano boy, even though a swatching air day, so no, is because of some of these system inefficiencies. In the third quarter of 2024, PRC announced also increasing Kanya tariff, utility tariffs. Now, Nanka was so mobilized at that time, mobilized of almost 8 billion Ghana cedis. Or her recovery rate now, there was only 8 billion to settle the power sector debt for all the generation of power. When you say Nanka also, your mayor took a move 10%, no, PRC to move 5%, change 5%. The reason is that you can change 5% is say so Otumukwana ECG to me. It is a basana, Kumano Mutiano, or Mohono Mochirob. So what it means is that because of the average revenue mobilization rate of ECG is around 47%. Intino PRC Ekosu increase tariff no thinking that or increase tariff now ECG bit margin or the Akutianaka. Still ECG to me. So if you have an efficient and effective private partner and as a private company or ECG, no make sure say lupo bia aries bia de bia obi a ontua bia ne tua the kanya and no crown bit mama ye kanya no boss what. And that is why I think that regulatory enforcement must come into effect.
Medase na many will area public utility workers union pool for enra omoden krata ba omo epenyi Thomas Nyame Timothy Nyame na eye wo general secretary omo edesobo ebo aban ne se committee omate na mo mutuo ni privatization no as a consultation amamu omo involve utility workers union no into the omo bibia within omo ho odi omo de be resist sa privatization of ECG no wo ebeye de na wo kafa ho.
I think that some of these unions, they are legitimate concerns because you can say privatize, their retrenchment will be done. Then the medical car, there's a lot of redundancy, and the private person, at any time will want to cut down payroll costs so that Abena can be sometimes compensation. Also, we have auditor regional report for 2023, for example, ECG wages, general and administrative expenditure increased by about 38%. Company Opokua, but people continue to increase these expenditures at the expense of the Ghanaian. So, some of these workers will agitate and say, but what you want, and our system losses increasing. What you want, and our net losses increasing, worsen. What you want, and our total equities. Hey, what did you do? What have you done? The company doesn't belong to you; it belongs to state. So it is good, sir. Omobabe agitated because private person they won't pay my obiame, obey retrench, obey you to go net. Ama, yatina streamline system no to give us the efficiency we need. And for that matter, being a worker union, no, they are back, but they strong. This is not the time for blackmail because government doesn't have money to inject. Government doesn't have $3 billion to inject into ECG now because the other resources are also the other sectors of the economy. ECG alone cannot continue to burden the government $2 billion annually. $2 billion annually, meaning it's around 28 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Now 28 billion Ghana cedis is about 3% of our GDP. So, Mr. That blackmail must stop. So, money now support and this is the time for them to inject in certain policy recommendations. Ama ECG.
But so, or be our input to be or the best. I say, ye engage no, ye consult no, but we take a decision, we set up a committee with that consultation, why involve you ma or better not the input. I
think that the committee is just at the beginning of this program.
Okay.
Me sure in the coming days, they may bring out their outline, and engagement of ECG workers and as a public utility workers union will be part of the program. So engage them and then also listen to their concerns and factor in some between and for say privatizing and privatization. Why don't they was a partner more? I think that almost be about in the coming days.
Mate, Mama Nase, any Brawanya, Edia Mame, Ora Benjamin Insia, Executive Director Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy. And yeneno edi enkobo no mame phone lines na fe yen crossover enko Adum TV na fe enko hye de ekoso ewo ho na okay yebekọ Ablekuma North ansana ya ba wonchen ye hye de ekoso no ene ho amane Kofiata eye branch executive ewo Ablekuma North Kofi Martin
you so me aba
net saying
na me adom na wonso
nya me adom mate dia kwaso parliament na mo hunti
yate
wate
mpasa
iti mani agia na
oh na so na wa
oh yes so mate but enra dia womenisa parliament minority no HSS omo HSS aban any majority no ebe toto niema na Ablekuma North enya representation na musini ewo mrasebedwa fenye sa enya dia abanjubadie ebe koso eno na ate ye
so ani to make say ni gisam because nakopon ani no kura animu Ablekuma na fa kasa no ene ma ya koso ha se no nakopon ni no kura mu aba enye chese Sisi am no kasa. Mpata wo chemi ye pa.
Be ma kasa meti o.
Aha. Sisi am no kasa. Ana date. Anche na bosumu yaso. O sha June July na eba yo. June July muna ana ye koyi. Enso ba sasa atoto. Enso sha se atoto a. Mini aba abra ho off. Adam ekoso ha se no. Enti se ye nya MP animanimu ya mana mama ye saji mana ma ya. Asama ba. Enso pese enso betuto yesu gujem. Yansu egujem.
Na enti edie na wose MP be ye se eye drains wose obey mu ni ade ase nya MP adwuma eye aban ka jepani adwuma.
I dokan de I no kura na waka no. Nanso so ono to so wasudie kakra awom. I'm pretty so wasudie kakra dey. Awo sa de no because
I be eden.
Because I'm seeing no. Wonka wo se be wonka wo tun pa wadwen anya bibi awabla amtwe no se be amtwe nka ho bi. Enti I'm seeing na be yumo no. Woni amtwe no be ka bom. Ana abeto mama ye de American. But when you are so what must
Mate.
Aha. Abegina I am pino and kabom on bakabom and then one bege and the big mama Jamaican abum. It's a munya papa say I was it and Monimuya.
Na Mati be free isi wana.
It's in the story I am TBB because and if I one on a book and walk about and now on person butcher into it's promo. About no person to me free a robbing and some and the can pay and from
Mate. Na nano ameno ekasa e wo raba kodia na so se wono be ya ban krache pani a ebeboa mo pa na ye homputu sansa wa yadwuma shortlist no okamiensa no ho ana
mpaso ka ho bi
ya shortlist no ne di ne eden
mpaso kalamu
eden kalamu
mpaso
no so ko vet ne koyie
ekoye pa because ono kwa de wani be September so ka as a part of papa na
adentia
say I told you say obi enim ada pray kalamu obi enim maduma waye ntina afina say ni obi enim maduma ada obi on like fight them because of fight ya my since best ntina ya je no na fight ya
okay
nti obi enim onabo kalamu sabe maduma waye ndo ko no obi enim maduma waye dada nti wa mre kura wo kura
mate na wo show ma onyomo wo sakansi masese ya shortlist nipa miensa wo ka ho no tu no emunye huma no
ndo ko ne ko ponu emunye kura emunye kura se sem ye compare omo sa ko fona sa ko tu no adu na wo de compare onomo kalamu no wo nim for now wo nim pa because of adwuma na waye previous adwuma kakra waye no nto wo nim
mate
no omo aka no na meka na mo matoma ko bo pasaka
bema metio
honorable Horace ni ankra ibuni din oya debi
oya hwan
honorable Horace ni ankra oya former ambassador
okay
Horace ni ankra oya hadna oya debi a ko no kan ni abokuma north youth na wa na ko be enye ho because oya traba we bia yani like any ho
oya traba den be specific
say aye sabio gan enti o say ya fa gan na nko no ya pe obi a obetumi aya adwuma no
okwate wen
oya mate pa ya so fo mo ha
okwate wo he
bet ho mo ko bet no ahona sasa no kupie ayenim
ntuhwe ebetumi akwatia kalamu so mo de ye adwuma
yes because anything that yes you can say any kwase bam anything that yes you can say any kwase side na bafo because ye de ni ma say ni pa we sabi o so yan kan ni na so butwa adwuma or you know what you knew so we work no you're not them a book and Japan a chow I need you Japan a chow yes I need you and the power you Juma be a name so I Juma another honorable Kalamu I will be a name that is so fair or fair ye no one set what you my thing as some part no the so what you my thing as my the whole of the month will be out and then you
Mate
nti yempe any chaba we be our bepolo pon because so be tia wase and wase to mesrano and you
Kofi mamena say Kofi ata na wotene ka no Ablekuma North constituency or NDC branch executive na chese womo de kalamu a enom hu nsa wasom party no ewo honoma ewo se onya kwanya no na mampade bode din se aban krachepani mamemra won che na mempeke before won koso before bi na ye 0302 216545 and na 0302 216 546 0302 216 545 0302 216 546 na afe yenko Matthew
Mejo so
Eba udini ba be afrefi
Amidindi ofati make a new prime station circle
Yetio
yo mini aba ma mentia wona bo mosisa bo ni just one couple of crew this is lion mini aba Anthony Nikweli the best no obi eni wa obro Ghana mraso uteni nsema ugusa no kwashi uteni nsema okeka sabi ene bi tie yesrena yedi nyamidiri treno ena me bra Benjamin Chiamechia no
okay
me bra etia yonko ho a utie biem PDS by me bra Benjamin Chia and some of kafa ho ena na do obusia fo na eti ene de ma usie privatize bibia adabo because I'm mining this car ya mom nya sa mom ye hu se ye ne ye tiri mu no sebi ye wa adwen tinsema na wakika ne mfa mo na wa so ntiase ene sei liga nti tata na do wo so no me bra Benjamin Sia no onyim ya ba me da se
Mr. Medase me fa offer from Achion
nyame aso ndie kan
enka so be my frost en free
ya fa mo re sheba na ebu nsu
Yetio
you feel that ko to pon kon so chi mama eti e mo ne yakọ why no mu nyina mo yakọ
Yedase
general secretary for in the current the big national organization saying parliament to good by one dia so we be kakra America se be senior NDC for Ghana for one massive 2 million mo dia we ma mo session for so be no so category now ni nambia ebia je say am see isi ku for person Ghana for mapai because on pele je ku for person ka e Ghana commercial bank mai Ghana was there be say 2 million of the global someone we na ye ka wongi and not to me can say na shebe of Ghana for the to me e manwo who ya je Ghana for that way o me ye guswa na no me let's them na amai say big ya for no ya mampost wa more than that we former minister here who call China warden na me won to even now what go so din that get answers am wey to me every year say who go so din there what na say me ya o am fit no nya ndi go make
okay Medase ba me fa offer from Achion
me ju so minia
mama ye frost en ofrefi
edini de ensesa ye da Hajia Halima Akumapa the freedom fighter from Medina
Yetio
Medina MP no near all kwama and ma say ye tax and free menstruation so no honorable susu the voice no minia mesre minia no DC4 mesre the youth of this country mo ye who don't see and NDC a youth manifesto e dia na ye hwehwe and ya appoint a youth mabulu pa basit pasintale our youth agency Mwankasa munim the zeal of this government to make sure say youth no ye betintim Monshe say ni appointment na eko youth ayede o mabam Felix Ofosu Kwachi no honorable Obo Biada Akuno omo nyina ye nkrofo omo ye connected to the youth Sami Jenfino Mina, you're connected to the youth. What do you want? Mesremo. Yes, a party, oh, yeah, politics are. So, Obasha, yeah, you, officer who you saw been out, I know when I saw one who will be out, one Casana, you so.
Okay.
And the Mesrel, Niamidiano, and this Madina. Ya boy, Tuma, yes, Abena in Penny for that. Mamma, my MC or Baba Bruye, or Mamma MC or Bema you to me, I one, Ewa Madina.
Me found so
Yaman appointment in Nibi, Yana Yepe.
Martin.
Hello.
Yauza, Yanko.
Me that say, Yauza, over to my friend Jobu. And I'm the only illiterate person in this who cannot read and write. Me face is so audio. Me that's a power. Pia say open me from the pill. Audio. Check. We say na we limuno. For na one go say, we can say I need to youth. Me support me am oyelo. Mubole, mubi mwanya mya mwadum. Munya konso executive papa yes mudilibi. Ena mwanya MP. Nyame agwa mwe senya MC ya ono so oye NDC. Yes, dem odo we. Yes, you get you na nya ya. Ya fire. So, who is your buyer? When you just say we get buyer. No go to na dem make ni ya.
Me da say me fa me last caller na me fa course na nyinansi Martin
Yania nabra ohote san
nyame ado me ho ye mpache fro so free fin
aboduma papa Christian no abasum ne wan kasa unu ebe ma ya po
okay
ama fama uboduma papa
me da say
na me frɛ nyame hira nyame ahoɔden fama no pai what
amen
bayo ne sa no ame kɔ me dɔfo ba ko pɛ the godfather Samia Uku one Kukurantumi no the bibia nga abrabo hia Samia Uku ka tena se nyame hira enka no grassroots for Samia Uku MPP for Samia Uku echeso obia Samia Uku na se munyina mutimi ye adwuma enya tenka enya odo nya tema te se Samia Uku a akana na ka yo opposition MPP for 24 mushua bibi efiri nkofo bi ho na mo MPP JSK baby obia me moache Hajia Mohammed national oba obia no mpre abra eminenti medebesia bye bye
me da say ye gina so na ye de course ni nyina asi e wo ha ebra so ye crossover akọ Adom TV na ye fa ye na wotwe dwumade no Kojo Brace ene ne guest atena ye dia megye so ene Abena Opokua Ahwenee madawase se wo jebre kan ho e wo Kukurantumi so kwakotwum ene ye me producer ena Joel etwa ye tumu live yaba ana still na ye ntumi amabi mo ayo matenti yadawase se wo join ye yakra wo dia kan nyina no toa so e wo ha
Kelly